Hey, in this video, I'm actually going to be doing something a little bit different compared to what I've done in other videos. I'm actually going to talk about two different horror franchises that I haven't seen any movies from at all. I've watched videos discussing these movies, but I haven't seen any of the actual films, so I'm not very familiar with them. Now, I certainly have seen more horror films compared to the amount I had 5 years ago, but still, I haven't seen a lot of slashers. When it comes to the highest Rotten Tomatoes score for each franchise, in the case of the Halloween franchise, highest score is a 96% for the original Halloween. With Scream, right now the highest score is an 81% for actually both Scream 1 and Scream 2. Halloween wins here. Then when you look at lowest score for each franchise, in the case of Halloween, oh wow, Halloween 6 only has an 8%. Yikes, that's pretty bad. With Scream, it's not quite as bad. Scream 3 only has a 41%. Scream wins here. Then when you look at average score, with Scream you have an average of 69. Halloween only has an average of 39. You can tell it's definitely less consistent. Scream wins this round. Then when you look at gap between lowest and highest score, in the case of Scream, you have a gap of 40. With Halloween, definitely a bigger gap for sure. Gap of 88% between the first movie, which has the highest score, and Halloween 6, which has the lowest score. Scream wins this round, so already Scream's going to win this debate, regardless of my personal opinion, because it's already won 3 rounds. But let's look at it now. What I'm looking at here is basically how popular is each franchise? How recently did a new movie come out? Was that new movie well received? Did people like it? Are people excited for the franchise right now? And in this case, I think it's pretty obvious. It's not hard at all to see which franchise is more popular right now. Scream, because Scream 6 came out only last year and it got good reviews. It has a 76%, which is a really good, solid score. Reviews are good across the board. People really enjoyed it. The last movie before that also has a 76%. With Halloween, you have that first movie that's considered to be a classic, yes, but when you look at recent movies, more inconsistent because Halloween Ends only has a 40%. Sure, the third most recent Halloween movie is a 79%, but in general, to me, watching videos talking about these franchises has made it pretty clear that the new Halloween trilogy, in general, divided people. It was polarizing, divisive. The way it ended with Halloween Ends was disappointing to a lot of people. And I don't know at this point when we're going to get a new Halloween movie. Whereas with Scream, it feels to me like, yeah, we're going to get a new Scream movie because we got a new one literally only last year. Whereas with Halloween, I think Halloween Ends came out in 2019, if I remember right. That was 5 years ago at this point. So it's just not as obvious that we're going to get a new Halloween movie. So there's just more excitement, more momentum about Scream than Halloween. And yeah, that's basically about all I have to say. These two franchises are certainly pretty similar. They're both R rated horror slasher franchises. I mean, when you look at the exact lore, mythology, they're not identical. There are differences between them. I mean, with Halloween, it's a pretty simple premise. A serial killer kills people at Camp Crystal Lake. That's what the franchise was originally about. It's certainly changed a bit since then. It's not quite, anyway, as simple as it was before, but in general, it's a pretty simple deal. With Scream, it's different because I've heard that it's more self aware horror that has characters that clearly know they're in a horror film, and so they're making references which make that pretty clear. So you can see how, I mean, the franchises are not identical, but they're certainly in the same ballpark. One difference I would say is we've only gotten 6 Scream movies, whereas there's been 13 Halloween movies, so there's been double the amount of Halloween movies compared to Scream. when it comes to horror slashers, I mean, I've seen the Psycho movies, and those kind of feel like prototypes for 80s slasher movies. Because you look at the original Psycho, and honestly, it's not particularly violent. It's not like a gory movie. That makes it feel different, honestly, from Scream or Nightmare on Elm Street, where there's only a few kills in the movie. There's not a lot of blood. Horror is more implied or suggested rather than shown. With Psycho 2, it's certainly closer to 80s slasher. It is more violent, there's a bit more gore than the original Psycho. I haven't seen Psycho 3, I'm not interested in that one. And then you had Psycho 4, which is a cheaper direct-to-video Psycho movie, so it just flows under a lot of people's radar, don't really think about it. And then you had Psycho Remake, which is just pointless because it's literally the exact same movie. So why would you ever watch that one when you can just watch the original that's vastly superior? So for me right now, the closest I've come to watching a slasher really is watching a franchise that's like an early version of that. But that'll be it for this video today.